Welcome, birders. This is Ed Pullen, your host on the Bird Banter podcast, where birders talk birding. I have to say it's good to be home after a really nice 4-day camping trip to the Blue Mountains. I went to Field Spring State Park in Asotin County, an area that I really didn't know at all. Thank goodness I had the fabulous ABA birding guide to a Birder's Guide to Washington, put out by lots of members of the Washington Ornithologic Society, and it gave great directions to get around, and I had some really fine birding. I was there really 2 full days, a day to and a day from, but the 2 full days I was there, I took the 2 loops in the morning that they recommend, the Asotin Anatone loop and the Field Spring State Park to the Grande Ronde River loop, and both times was just spectacular. Beautiful scenery, good birds, and just really fun. On the second day, we took the Anatone to Asotin loop, and on the dirt road there, I've never seen so many grasshopper sparrows. There was a stretch that it seemed like every bird on the wire fence was another grasshopper sparrow, so it was really fun to see those. They're not awfully hard to find in Washington, but they're certainly not easy unless you're in just the right spots. They like this really sparsely vegetated grass, and there was plenty of that there. It was dry and hot. So early in the morning, they were just up singing on the wires. It was just spectacular. And on the trip back, I took the West Mountain Road trip back from area near Anatone all the way through the Blue Mountains. Really just a beautiful trip. Got some birding in Asotin County and then on to Garfield County. Really nice. Best bird of that drive was a Williamson sapsucker. A female flew right up to a tree, got a good look at her right in front of us. That was really nice. And then from there drove home, but it was just a nice trip and kind of a magic moment on the ride home. Marion, my girlfriend, wanted to see a yellow-headed blackbird. She hadn't seen that. She's fairly new to birding, and they're not easy to come by on the west side where we live, west side of the Cascades in Washington. So it was time for a potty stop anyway, so we stopped in Othello by the pair of ponds, and they were pretty much dried up. And we got there, and the yellowhead blackbirds, males, were looking really scruffy and heavy molt. The beautiful yellow heads were just kind of a yellow shadow almost behind the new feathers coming in. But at the same spot were 3 terrific birds. Tricolored blackbirds were right down feeding on the one pond that still had some water. There were 8 lesser yellowlegs there, and there was a pectoral sandpiper. So 3 first-of-the-year birds there that I got almost by accident. So that was really fun on the ride home. So I had a great trip, and I'm excited today to have as my guest Francisco Garcia. You may have heard us talk a little bit about Francisco in my episode with Heather Balish and Marcus Ronig. He is the fellow that they bird with in Mexico a lot. He guides trips down there and is a good friend of theirs, and they introduced me to him, and it was really fun to talk to him on this podcast episode. He's very knowledgeable about the San Blas area and birding in that central western, probably the central western coast of Mexico. Sounds like great birding there. Get lots of habitat without traveling too far, working too hard. Can't beat that. So I have to hit that area and look up Francisco when I'm down there. Safari San Blas is the name of his tour company, and he sounds like a really nice fellow, so sounds like a good opportunity if you're going that way. Anyway, let's get on with the Bird Banter podcast, episode number 69, with Francisco Garcia. Francisco, welcome to the Bird Banter podcast. Thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you, Edward. Pleasure to be here.
Very much so. Francisco, I heard about you from Heather Balish and Marcus Ronig, who were guests on my show a while ago and who are good birding friends here in Tacoma. So I can't wait to get to Mexico and meet you in person. Sounds like you have a guiding business there, and that might be possible.
Well, I'll be really happy to take you around, to show you around, and I hope Marcus shared the good stories.
No, he didn't tell me many stories. I want to hear them from you.
Okay.
Good. So tell me, first of all, how did you meet Heather and Marcus? How do you know them?
Well, birding. To be honest, I was trying to remember when did I met them. That was a few years ago. And they've been traveling down here to help with the Christmas bird count, which, by the way, our San Blas Christmas bird count was the very first Christmas bird count in Mexico, back from mid-70s or something like that. So they like to participate, and they like to be part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. So they were part of the Christmas bird count at San Blas. So that's sort of maybe how you met them. Cool. So you've been doing this for a while then, it sounds like.
Yeah, I've been observing birds over 10 years, 12, 13 years, but guiding maybe 10 years around that.
Mm-hmm. So guiding for about 10 years. So your company, Safari San Blas, I think, is it primarily birding focused trips or do you do all sorts of other trips too?
It's primarily birding trips, but I do or try to promote ecotourism in general, or more like a
Right.
nature tours, right? But it is mostly birding, to be honest. But when I prepared to be a guide many years ago, I learned about, obviously, we do take advantage of our natural resources, which are the birding and the habitat, but I try to do a little bit of cultural resources as well as economic resources. So what I'm trying to say, a birding trip with Safari San Blas, you'll get a little bit of culture, a little bit of economics, a little bit of history. So it's obviously focused on birds, but the idea is, I mean, for you, Edward, coming here is a big effort. It's a lot of traveling, and I know you're interested in the birds, but if you can take a little bit extra from our culture, from where we are, where we stay, I think that makes a trip uh, even more worth it.
I would totally agree. So, what sort of trips do you lead? Are they mostly focused around San Blas, or do you cover more of Mexico?
No, so far, mostly around San Blas right now, but in the last 3 to 4 years, I have extended, in a way to say it, a little bit. So now I do trips to the north part of Jalisco, which is, Puerto Vallarta
Sure.
area, Nayarit, and I think mostly Nayarit is my area, no San Blas area. But I started to go different areas. Also, I help to some consulting
Mm-hmm.
companies on the
Right.
birding part. So I have had chance to go other places in Mexico and get to the birds and the bird spots, which I haven't taken tours there, but I starting to get to know a little bit more of
Very
Mexico.
cool. So, what type of a trip would a person get if they wanted to go with your group? Is it a personalized trip, or do you lead large groups? What's it like?
To be honest, I don't like. It's not that I don't like, but I prefer to have in small groups, or 3, 4, 6 people maybe. Also depends on people birding skills. If you have a lot of good birders, I guess a large group, it wouldn't hurt too bad. But when you have, especially in San Blas, we have all kind of birders. I rather have small groups, and I feel like I am giving you a quality attention. The larger the group, I think is less quality of attention. So I prefer to have small groups and definitely customize the trips. I customize the trip based on people's abilities, knowledge, and interest,
Sure.
right?
What sort of habitat do you have within a reasonable reach of San Blas? I don't know that. I've not been to that part of Mexico really at all.
I have to say that I feel really fortunate about living in San Blas. San Blas, it is a magical place. Just for you to have an idea, where San Blas is located, to the north edge of San Blas, we have the beginning of the huge mangrove area, wetland area, which is part of the biosphere reserve. So it's really important area. Then to the east, we have the tip of the volcano axis, the famous part of the famous ring of
See?
fire. Just south of that, we have the beginning of the Sierra Range. So just right there, we have four major habitats. And in between, we have patches. I mean, we have from marismus, wetlands, we have patches of thorn forest, we have lower jungle, we have middle jungle, we have pine oak forest, thanks to the beginning of the Sierra Range. But also, thanks to the geography, we also have microclimates, microsystem. Like we have a microclimate called dew forest, not rainforest or cloud forest, but dew forest. And to be honest, I'm talking about within 30 minutes drive of San Blas. So at the most 45 minutes drive around, but we have a large blend of habitats. And I think that makes that birding interesting.
It sounds like it. Do you have a lot of endemics in your area, or mostly birds you can find elsewhere?
We have around over 30 species of endemic birds around in Nayarit itself. But a lot of them are on the reach of within an hour drive of San Blas. And on top of that, I'm talking about numbers. In Mexico, we have around 1,100 species of birds between migratory and resident endemics birds. In Nayarit, we have nearly 600, a little bit over half of what we have in Mexico. And in 30, 40-mile radius from San Blas, we can have around 400 possibilities.
Wow.
So it's pretty good. It's pretty good birding.
So if a person came for, say, a week and birded with you, they'd get out to a lot of different habitats. And what kind of a species list would someone expect from that sort of trip?
Well, a large one, that's for sure. A very large one.
A lot of birds. Okay, good. So Francisco, it sounds like you lead trips that involve a little culture and local knowledge, as well as lots and lots of birds without traveling too far. It sounds like it can be a trip where you see a lot of birds without spending hours and hours riding from here to there.
Yes, actually, I have not going to Central America, to be honest, but I have clients who has. And a lot of people compare to places like Panama or one of those places because the number of birds that you can see. Obviously, I mean, Chiapas has a lot more birds than Nayarit, but in order to see a big number, you have to travel lots. I think that's the advantage here. That's the advantage that we have so many habitats within short range of driving.
Right.
And that increases the number. And to be honest, I mean, we have a place called Chacalilla, one of the most birding spots in around San Blas right now. In a good morning, you found 120 species of birds just for the morning. Then you go.
That's a good morning anywhere. Yes.
Yes, a good morning everywhere. Yes,
for sure.
And we are really privileged in habitats.
If I were going to travel to San Blas, do you fly straight to San Blas, or do you fly to one of the resort towns and drive?
Yes, most people choose to fly to Vallarta, since Vallarta has a big international airport, and it has many flights, many direct flights from big airports around the world. So the easiest is to San Blas, and probably either arrange an all-inclusive trip or rent a vehicle and drive to San Blas.
Terrific. Good. So you've birded a lot with Marcus and Heather. It sounds like they meet up with you almost every year when they come down. Tell me some birding stories with those two.
I feel bad sometimes, because they hire me and they are really knowledgeable. They are really skilled birders. And it's interesting because they're not afraid to argue about a bird, So I mean, we had many trips that we go and we see birds from the distance, and we didn't see enough field marks to make sure what it was. Right. And we go on the hunt for it. They don't hesitate to walk a little further, to drive a little more, or to stay a little longer. They're really good birders. They're really knowledgeable. It's really fun to be around them.
I enjoy it too. I learned something when I'm around them too. So that's cool. So do I remember correctly? They said you took them on a backpacking trip to camp out at a cloud forest or something? Or was that not with you?
No,
Not with you. Okay. Getting my stories mixed up. So you
Yeah.
do the Christmas bird count there every year. When is that held? Before Christmas or after Christmas?
It's after Christmas. Actually, the January the 2nd.
Usually January 2nd.
January the 2nd is a day that we haven't moved around. It's a no matter what we're doing it. This year it was a hard one. This year we have a lot of rain
Oh,
on Christmas bird count, but not enough to stop us. We still went out there and we're still birding, and that going again back to Chacalilla, the person who birded the area, he was doing a lot of birding from his car, from inside his car. And we have a chat group, for just to be in contact or what we're doing,
right.
what we're missing, things like this. And he say, I can't believe I have, he had 90 or some species from inside the car.
That's a good day.
Yeah, he's like, he's been pouring and stopping at times, and I've been just sitting in my car. Yet I have 90 species. So yeah, it can be fun, but it also can be challenging. Like I say, I remember starting 2-3 years ago, we have direct flights from Finland to Vallarta.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have birders from Finland. And one of the first clients that I had from Finland, I was trying to impress him, to be honest. So I took him on our first day out. I took him to the area that I knew there was going to be a lot of birds. But you know what? For that person, that was overwhelming. He said, it's just too many, you know? And I like that. I actually like the way he was, because he looked at one bird, study it, he looked at the longest possible, take the book out, read about the bird, talk about the bird, then move forward to another
That
bird.
was a tick for him. Some people, a tick is getting a look in flight that the guide tells them what they saw, and for other people, they want to study it. So each to their own.
They're all different. Everybody's different. Everybody has different interests. And, I go sometimes, people visit here and they want to go places. Okay, I read about this place, I want to go there. But I really like when people have a wish list, no?
Mm-hmm.
Because that involves more going to more places and looking for specific things.
Sure.
Sometimes they can be really challenging, but it's fun. It's fun.
It's good to challenge ourselves sometimes.
Definitely.
So how many trips a year do you tend to lead out of San Blas? Is that a full-time job for you, or do you have a side job?
No, not full time, because like right now, well, besides this
Pandemic.
health issue that we have, a lot of people don't travel in spring, summer to Mexico for a number of reasons. One of them is right now in San Blas not even on the sun, it's like 100 degrees. I don't know. It's really hot. We have 100% humidity, so that makes the heat feels even hotter. So a lot of people can handle that. Sometimes not even local people can handle that. And as I don't know if you know, but as you know, San Blas is almost the world capital of the mosquitoes. So that can be another issue that people doesn't want to deal with, especially right now on rain season, on the heat, we have more mosquitoes than usual.
So what is your busy season?
Busy season, October, November to March.
Okay, so
which is that migration. The migration start, the fall migration, and that's when a lot of the birders travel here, because they know they can increase the number. We have when people are really interested in endemics or really focused on endemics.
Mm-hmm.
I think spring and summer is great. It's fantastic because it's all we have, endemics. But the windows to go birding are really small. 1 hour, maybe 2 hours in the morning, and that's it. Sometimes the afternoon doesn't give you a chance to go out. It's too hot. Even the birds hide.
Sure.
Or the rain. And rain season usually rains on the afternoons here in San Blas. So is the windows to watch birds are smaller. And the rest of the year, that's when I do trying to do ecotourism. I love nature, but I'm in love with the ocean. So I like surfing. I surf a lot. So in the summer, I start sometimes we do offer surf trips or nature tours a little bit more, but it's slower.
Of course. Very nice. So tell me, I'm sure you have some sort of signature birds, or birds there that are totally what everybody wants to see. What are some of the really cool birds in your area?
We have, endemics are always something that people look for. Russet crowned mudmot is a really colorful and it's endemic to West Mexico. Is one of the birds that a lot of people wants to see. Mudmots are anywhere, wherever the mudmots are interesting, are beautiful
They
birds.
are.
Hard to see. They're really secretive. They're really quiet, so they're hard to see. We have another endemic. Well, we have a lot of endemic, but citrulline trogon is another of the endemics that people are looking for. Happy wrens, Sinaloa wrens. We have the black-throated magpie jay. I think is one of the birds that represent San Blas a lot. Black-throated magpie jays are pretty good size, so it's easier to spot somehow.
That works.
Although sometimes they're nowhere to be seen. So it's interesting how such a interesting and large bird just can be days without seeing them.
It can be, it's amazing. There's nothing as a gimme when you go birding. You think, oh, I'll take you here, we'll see that, and you just don't some days.
Yeah. That's birding like it's hard to guarantee a bird, but it's always chances to see it. It really pay off being from around, being out there all the time. Me and some friends, we go just to see what's around there, because the birds are always moving too. They like to nest certain areas, but they're always changing, and especially human being, we always modifying the habitat.
For sure.
So that's another challenge as a guide that we have. Trying to find a good patch of habitat. That's another challenge.
Nothing beats local knowledge when it comes to that. That's for sure.
Definitely. It paid off to be around here.
How have you coped during this health pandemic? Have you had any business, or what's the economy like where you're at?
It's hard. The regular season ended earlier. Usually it extends all the way to March, April. This year, I guess the beginning of March, people were canceling tours, or they definitely stopped traveling. I try to be positive, to be honest, but it's hard. It's hard. Unfortunately, well, the economics here in San Blas are slow, and a lot of the people live on the everyday basis. So it's not like they can just stop working and take some time off. People need to continue do their activities
Right.
and stuff. So that's the hardest part. San Blas is okay. People take care of themselves. They're trying to follow the regulations that we have, but a lot of the visitors. San Blas is a small fisherman village, which it gets impacted by tourism as well.
Right.
But all activities are hurt with this pandemic. So
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You've managed to stay healthy, it sounds like, though. That's good.
Yeah, well, we're trying to follow the regulations, stay home. I think one of the good things that happened with this pandemic is a lot of people are changing their habits, their hygienic habits, so which is good. Now you see more people, caring about being washing their hands, being clean, protecting themselves, things like this. So I think there's always good things come from bad things. So I think that's one of
That's a
them.
great attitude. I'll try to keep that my own. Good.
Yeah, well, in the other hand, having lack of visitors and many activities shut down, the habitat has recovered. We've seen a lot of pristine habitat again, and a lot of birds are starting to show up again. So that's good. I read this many places in Mexico, even the rare birds or rare animals start to showing up or get a little bit more bold because they see less people around. So we give a break to nature. That's good.
That is good. It is one thing about living in the tropics. Are you technically in the tropics? You're probably close, if not. Uh, uh,
Right on
right
the
on the
edge.
edge. One thing about that, tropical type areas is the recovery. I mean, habitat's been devastated, but it's just shocking how fast things grow and can recover. It's like, 3 times as fast as in more temperate areas, it seems like.
Yes, it is. I think, especially these areas, and we have all the different habitats and volcano axis. Those leaves give a lot of nutrients to the soil, all the rains and stuff. So I feel you. I know exactly what you mean. I can see that every year. We go to places that it's hard to. Sometimes you don't recognize the area anymore because it's overgrown so fast. That's why I think the people that live out on the fields, they feel like they can go and modify the habitat because they know within 2 3 years that place is going to be back to the same
Yes.
for them. But they don't understand about primary forest or secondary growth, stuff like that. But nature's always look that way to come back. That's for sure.
Yes. So, Francisco, tell me how you got started as a birder. At what age did you begin? How did it all start? And maybe some influential people or experiences that prodded you along the way.
Well, as you may know, if you don't, in San Blas we host an international bird festival. One of the early editions, I was subcontracted to be a translator. Nothing to do with the birds, just to regular translation.
Right.
But I mean, by then I really like nature. Like say, I always like nature. I surf, I dive, I love those things. And when I get this work and I went to the birding tours. I liked it. I guess I get hooked since the first day.
Very cool.
By the second day, I had binoculars with me already. I don't even remember who let me use them. But then after that, I decide I wanna learn about birds. I kind of thought about becoming a guide. And luckily for me, I found a series of workshops at the moment. One of the first mentors I have here in San Blas is a man and someone called Manuel the Jungle Man Lomeli. Manuel Lomeli. He had perhaps 30 years of experience
Oh,
birding.
wow.
He was a big inspirational because he was a self-taught. He knew about trees, plants, of course, birds, mammals. I mean, you name it. He was a real nature man, and that was one of my first mentors here in San Blas. And after that, I took the embassy, the English embassy,
Mm-hmm.
have some donation through a branch of the government. It's called CONAFOR. So these guys, through Ingeniera Lourdes and Alfonso Langle, they organized a series of workshops related to birding, guiding, of different subjects. And I took a lot of them, and that's how I started to become a guide. And to be honest, I spent 2 3 years out in the fields just learning about the birds, the calls, everything I can. Up to this day, still trying to learn more and more.
We all are.
But that was yeah, that was the way I get hooked to the birds. And honest, meeting people like Marcus, Marcus and Heather, they, like you say, they are really knowledgeable about the birds, and this is the kind of people who, without thinking, they like to share the knowledge. This, I don't think it's something that they have in mind, but just talking to them, you can tell that they are people who like to share the knowledge, and this is that's how the way to grow, I think.
Very nice. So tell me more about this National Bird Festival in San Blas. I was not aware of that. Is that, I'm assuming it's during the hot season, the season best to go birding there.
Yes, it's organized at the beginning of February. Sometimes the end of January, beginning of February. It's sort of private festival. It's organized, it has an owner and it has a group of people who organize the festival. To be honest, I don't participate much there, but I know it exists and I'm aware of it. But I think they are somehow linked to the University of Nayarit.
Okay.
And the politics of the University of Nayarit is, which I heard, they cannot promote activities but 2-3 weeks before.
Oh.
So a lot of people is having hard time to finding the real dates or when it's happening and stuff.
I bet.
Like I say, usually it's around the end of January, beginning of February, around there.
So it's not so much a festival that a visiting birder would particularly participate in.
Yes. A lot of people are aware and they know and they come, but it hasn't grew as much as they wanted, probably, to be honest.
Okay, very nice.
But I'm currently part of we have a bird and nature festival in Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
This is usually the second or third week of March. I'm one of the guys there.
Okay.
There is a website called Vallarta Birds and Nature Festival, and this festival is hosted by the Botanical Garden, the Vallarta Botanical Garden, a place they do a lot of environmental education. They do a lot of conservancy work. Right now, they have a project with macaws. They're doing some artificial box nests for macaws. And last year, they have the first babies born at the macaw sanctuary, at the Vallarta Bird Botanical area.
So they're having some success with nest boxes for macaws. That's pretty cool.
Yes, actually, the same area around there, part of the festival as well, there is an area that become a macaw sanctuary. Last year, they have, if I remember right, 33 boss nests, and they were all occupied.
Wow.
And I think they have like 45 chicks on the season. So it's definitely a success.
Very nice. Up here we have bluebird trails. Bluebirds were a species in North America that were really endangered because of competition for nest boxes from introduced species. Starlings and house sparrows really took over their nest sites in natural cavities. So they learned how to make nest boxes that had just the right sized hole that would allow a bluebird in, but not a house sparrow or a starling. And there have been tremendous successes. We have huge bluebird trails here with hundreds of boxes and many bluebirds. So it's really helped bluebirds recover here. So I'm not sure how endangered macaws were there, but it sounds like it will help out.
Well, first of all, congratulations for that program, that success program. It's always nice to see that. And it's a process, right? I think that was the same thing with the macaws here. Even for the macaws, they're not used to nest on artificial nest boxes. But I think they found the area, they feel safe, and then they tried different boxes until they found the exact one they like, with the dimensions, appropriate dimensions and stuff. And now it's very interesting. there is a group of on Facebook. It's called Vallarta Birders, which I'm part of it,
Right.
and we are part of the organization of the Nature and Bird Festival in Vallarta.
Uh-huh.
And we have a box. We put together the money and donate a box.
Right.
And I went and helped to install the box and stuff. And it's amazing because the macaques on the sanctuary knows the owner's family
Mm-hmm.
voices.
Oh, yes.
And if they are around there, they don't go away. They stay.
They're social.
And I was amazed. And I was amazed because we were with this wheelbarrow trying to move the box nest to we pick the pine for it, and there were two pairs of macaques right above our heads, and I thought as soon as we're gonna get close, they're gonna fly away because that's what they do. But they didn't. They stayed. They almost held installing the box nest. Seriously, minutes within being installed, they were checking it out already. So it's definitely a success, and it's a process. I can see a process to get to where they are, right?
Yes. Tell me about your birding group. You said the San Blas birding group.
We try. There is here in San Blas. There is a really knowledgeable guy. It's called Mark Stackhouse, almost legendary, I think.
Okay.
And he is interesting. His stories are interesting as well. Which is, if it's okay with you, I'll share one or two here. But especially, I asked him, how did you get, because Mark Stackhouse was a person who used to lead trips to Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua. He used to go a lot to Central America, and now he lived here. He only bird here. So what happened? Also, he told me when the first time that he came to San Blas, he was so impressed, like really impressed by the bird activity. In the second year that he came to San Blas, he got even more impressed, he says. So then he started doing bird trips to San Blas. And he realized with the money that he was spending every trip to San Blas, he could rent a house for the whole year. So he did that. He rented a house for a year. And, first bringing family, friends, and eventually, well, he fell in love with a local girl here. He's now married and then has family and stuff. But he decided not to go anywhere. He found a good birding patch, and he stopped going anywhere else. This was enough for him. And he said it was, not quite better birding than Central America, but he says it's really good, And so I go birding a lot with him as well. He's someone that I have learned a lot. Every time that I talk to him, he likes to share something. He's one of those knowledgeable persons who share the knowledge, and we go birding a lot. We go birding a lot, exploring areas, checking out how the things are going. We are partners in crime. We have the record for the big day in Mexico.
Oh, wow. In San Blas?
Yeah, in San Blas.
Very cool. So you hold the big day. What is your big day record? What's the number?
274.
Oh, my goodness. In one day. That is a big day.
22 hours of birding.
Wow.
With, over 100 miles driven.
Yeah.
So
only 100 miles sounds really attractive for a big day. I like that.
Yeah, it is. It is it's crazy running around and stuff, but
Sure.
It's good.
Very nice.
Yeah, and we trying to encourage birding. There is a group of kids here. They call themselves Natupeques, age to 12, 13. Well, the first generation is already over 20. But these kids, they know about environmental education. They know about turtles and whales and crocodiles and mangroves, and we take them birding. We take them birding from time to time. We have club, the Observadores de Aves de Nayarit, and we try to encourage people. We have do workshops here in San Blas just to introduce birding people to birding, and sometimes we try to organize birding trips. It's hard. It's hard. A lot of the people, like I said before, they live on the everyday basis. So a lot of people see birding as not a, I don't know, economical activity,
Right.
or probably, I don't know, but a lot of people even they can't believe that we look at birds.
Yeah.
But we always trying to encourage, and there is a number of people who has become birders here. We have another young guy, Jose Antonio, and he started to look at birds. And then next thing he knows, he has a camera on his hand, and now he's a really good photographer. Really good birder photographer now.
Very cool.
It's slowly, but we're trying to encourage birding.
I think you've been successful. Marcus and Heather told me that they've been doing the Christmas bird count there for decades, and that when they first started doing it, it was almost all expats and visiting birders doing the Christmas bird count. And now there are a whole bunch of local people doing the bird count. So you've definitely made progress.
Thank you. Yes, proudly to say, last Christmas bird count, 70% were Mexicans.
Wow.
70% of the people were Mexican, not quite from San Blas, but they were more and more people interested in birds and willing to help. And it was great. This year we have people with zero knowledge of birding. And actually last year, people that were visiting and they realized there were some Christmas bird count and they were, can we do something? Sure. I mean, everybody's welcome to a Christmas bird count. Every eyes, every finger, and everyone is more than welcome and needed, right? And it was surprisingly that last year or this year, this same couple show up again, and to help with the birding, and so it's definitely rewarding to seeing people interested in birds. When I was first learning about birds, one person, unfortunately a Mexican person, he was telling me that Mexicans are not interested in birds. They don't care about the birds, because I wanted to learn the bird's name in Spanish as well as English,
Right.
and stuff. And somebody is like, why in Spanish? Don't worry, Mexicans don't like birds. But probably to say this 10 years later or so, I have taken complete families with complete no clue of the birds that they become birders.
Very nice.
And so it's really nice. I think people in general, not just Mexicans, but people in general, if you don't know what you have, you don't value it, you don't appreciate. So a lot of the things that I do here outside the birding scene is environmental education, trying to, especially the local people, trying to let them be aware of what we have. And I think it's the only way that people can feel that they need to take care of nature, they need to take care of things by knowing what you have. Otherwise, how can you do it if you're not aware?
That's true.
Right?
For sure. All of us, most birders, try to be an ambassador for birding and conservation in some way. And this show is kind of a little bit of my contribution to being an ambassador for birding. People, friends and other people might catch on or get a little more interested in nature, conservation, birding, whatever. But it sounds like you are a real ambassador for your community. Congratulations. That's good work.
Thank you. Over the years, I think it's building up little by little.
And poco a poco, see?
See, poco a poco.
Yeah.
But the thing is one thing's falling to another. Like I say, the reason I moved to San Blas, I'm not native to San Blas, but the reason I moved to San Blas was because of the ocean. Because I fell in love with the ocean and I wanted to learn how to surf. But then but while being at the beach, then you start taking care of the beach, and next thing you know, I mean, you care about everything around, right? And I think that the learning process is also pretty good. I think I had the right people, the right influence. I still have, and that's something that help you to focus on what you want, you know. And I think this is the only way that we can make things change, you know. We can't rely on government or other things. We have to do what we can.
That is true. That is true everywhere. Francisco, it's really fun to talk with you today. I appreciate it. If people want to reach out to you for Safari San Blas, how would they get a hold of you? How would that work out?
Usually email safarisanblast@gmail.com is a good way to reach.
Okay.
I do not have a website quite yet, but I do have a Facebook page and Safari San Blas.
Okay.
It should be easy to find. It's always on reach there. My phone number, which you can see on the page,
Yes.
but I can give it to you, is 323 282 8835.
Terrific. I'll make sure I put that in my podcast notes along with the link to your Facebook page and your email. So if people want to reach out to you, they can. Francisco, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate taking the time. It's fun to hear about a new area. And I have to make San Blas get higher on my place to go list. I'm hoping to get there someday.
Thank you, Edgar, for the invitation. I was really happy to do this. And please do. I'll be more than happy to take you around, show you around.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again. Take care.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Well, that wraps up the Bird Banter podcast, episode number 69 with Francisco Garcia. I can't wait till next episode, too. Next episode is going to be Peter Hodem from the University of Puget Sound. He is a researcher and a passionate observer of tube noses, the seabirds with tubes on the nose to excrete salt, special birds, hard to find sometimes. He does research on them both off the coast of South America and in Washington, and I'm really looking forward to having you listen to him next week. It's going to be a great episode. Make sure you subscribe to whatever podcast feed you use so that you don't miss it. And until next time, good birding, good day.